Hey there. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the 2 times when journaling is going to have an asymmetric return on investment. That means we put in just a little bit of effort and we're going to get a tremendous amount of results. So what are these 2 times, right? Let's say we have an event X, okay? So X could be anything. It could be a negotiation with our boss. Let's say we're going to ask for a raise. This could be a critical conversation with your significant other. It could be you're going to a run club and you want to make sure that you have some things prepared, maybe some conversation points to talk about. Let's say maybe you already had a fight with somebody and you really want to basically learn from it or build from it, right? So these are important events, and for now, I'm just gonna call these X, and this will make sense in just a little bit. So we have this event X. So X could be anything that is important to you or has a potential kind of learning opportunity baked within it, right? So this is X. There are really 2 times when journaling is gonna have a really big benefit, and that is before an event and after. So when we journal before, so basically what journaling does in this case is it allows us to prepare. So this is prepare. And when we journal after something, what this does is it really allows us to level up, okay? And so this is after. All right, so I'm gonna go through just 2 examples here, and I'll show you some cases, some specific points. There's gonna be 3 points within each of these where journaling is going to be very helpful to either prepare or to level up from a situation. So in this situation here, when you wanna journal before something, let's say you have a negotiation coming up with your boss and you really want to do well, like you want to get that raise, you want to get that promotion, okay? So the best way to do this is to be really prepared for it. You've been working for months, potentially even years, and you feel like you're ready. It's not just going to be enough to come up with some examples. It's not going to be enough to come up with some evidence or some reasons why you should be promoted if you're not going to be able to talk about them coherently, if you're not going to be able to say them concisely. So the first thing that journaling before something is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to clear out the junk. So what this means is clearing out the junk is that there are so many thoughts and, myriad emotions and all these things that are going on in our bodies. And if we have these things muddying and clouding our thoughts before we go into a negotiation, then we're not going to be so clear. By journaling before we go into that negotiation, it's really going to allow us to remove the unnecessary and just completely irrelevant information, and it's going to allow us to be more on target. When we come into that negotiation with not only our reasons for why we deserve to be promoted, not only the evidence for what we've been producing, and a story to go along with the projects that we've been working on and the growth that we personally have seen and that the company has seen due to our efforts, it's going to be really important to have a very clear head and to be able to explain that concisely and with conviction. And so by clearing out the junk in our heads, we're going to be able to basically explain ourselves much more clearly, perform much better in the interview. Another reason that we journal beforehand, actually, I'm just going to put here, another thing that happens when we journal before something is it really allows us to organize our thoughts. The order of things that we say really matters. Also, what we don't say matters, like this clearing out junk. And when we get all of our thoughts about this promotion, we get them onto the page and we can line them up and we can kind of organize the order in the way that we're going to speak. We can see things that are not quite there and we can go do a little bit more research. Like by taking these thoughts out of our heads and putting them on the page, it really allows us to organize our thoughts and speak more coherently and just honestly have a much better delivery of that story, that initial story, and performance in the negotiation as a whole. So that's what journaling beforehand does, is it really allows us to clear our thoughts and organize them. The last thing that journaling is going to do is confidence. So journaling allows us to be much more confident when we deliver a message. we've cleared out our heads, we've organized our thoughts, and now we're going to be able to deliver our message very concisely. We can do it. We can, do it much more, not performatively, but we can deliver our ask. You don't get what you don't ask for. And so if you're going to ask for something, it's really helpful to be convicted in that, like be confident and ask for what we want, And if we're very clear on what we want, then it's going to be very easy to ask for it. And being very clear is something that comes from journaling beforehand. So these are all examples of when journaling beforehand is going to have absolutely asymmetric returns on investment and really allow us to get the most out of something. And the reason that this is really helpful is because you don't need to have a journaling habit every single day. Like, it would be really good if we all did, but not everybody has developed this habit and the skills, the routines to support a consistent journaling habit. So what we can do is, if we want to get immediate benefits and kind of catch the bug of journaling and kind of get into it, journaling before a specific event is going to be a really good place to start. All right, so now we're going to be talking about the other time when journaling is going to have an absolutely asymmetric return on investment. And this is directly after a really important event has happened. So if we want to level up, then journaling after an event is a really good way to do that. So I'm going to use a different example here. The example that I'm going to use was recently I was out on the trail, out on Lady Bird Lake, and there's this running trail. And every so often on the trail, there's like a little alcove. And so I went to Lady Bird Lake the other day and I set up the tripod in one of these alcoves, kind of a little bit off the path. It's still on the path, but it's kind of off to the side. And even though it was off to the side, people were walking by, they were jogging, they were exercising and riding bikes. And even if this person was on the phone or something, it got in my head. It was so hard for me to basically say my truth and to make a video in public because I was so nervous and frankly, like, worried about what these people were thinking. It was kind of funny because I didn't even know, like, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They got their trials, they got their tribulations, they got stuff going on. They don't care about little old me making a video, right? But for some reason I did. And since I'm really interested in pursuing this YouTube thing as a career, I'm interested in figuring out, why did I feel that way when I was trying to do something that frankly I'm kind of passionate about. I like making these videos. Why was I not able to do it there, right? So this is something to journal about for me. And so one of the first thing that journaling after an important event gives us is it allows us to understand. Allows us to understand, right? So by journaling about why I'm feeling that type of way, what I realized is that I was so tied to the results of what was happening in the moment. Like, I wanted to make such a great video and really come off as someone who knows what they're talking about and who really truly believes in his content, even though this was kind of a silly video. Like, I want to make a great video. And I think that when people were walking by, it kind of opened me up to the possibility that they were not going to like what I was doing. And on the internet, it's one thing because you don't really see these people, but in real life, they're right there. And so I was so attached to the end result of making a great video that really kept me from even making ones, right? So understanding is what happens when we journal after something has happened to us and we want to level up from it. The second thing that journaling after an important event allows us to do is, I'll put center. So it allows us to emotionally center. It's fine. Like, now that I'm aware that I'm very tied to the end results of the videos, even though I have literally no control over them other than what they are, like I can put everything into them. But at the end of the day, whether people or not like them, that's up to them. And so now that I've understood that component of myself, I can emotionally center. I can be accepting of that. And once I've accepted that and taken my thoughts out of my head and put them onto the page and begun to understand and look at them objectively, it honestly took a lot of stress off of me, and it made it easier to just make another video. And by centering myself and explaining, hey, these people really don't care, they're doing their own thing. If I hadn't separated those thoughts from basically my present moment, it would have been very hard for me to center and to make that video, to make another video outside. So centering is something that happens when we take what's in our head and we just separate ourselves, and we basically take a step back and analyze a situation objectively. We use a little bit of discernment. And we can't do that if we're flustered. So by journaling after something, it allows us to center. And the third thing that journaling after something is absolutely beneficial for is making better decisions. So when you understand where you're coming from and how you're feeling, and you've taken those thoughts out of your head and you put them onto the page, and you're more emotionally centered, you're not flustered, basically what you're able to do now is you're able to make a better decision. So if it is true that this YouTube thing is something that I'm really interested in, then it is the case that I need to make more videos. So what I can do is I can actually specifically go to crowded places and film a video in front of other people. And what this is gonna be able to do, I'll be able to get over that discomfort. And that's a decision that it's going to be hard to make unless you make it like coherently. This is the reason that I'm doing this, and this is why I want it, and this is what it's for. And without going through these steps of understanding how I was feeling and centering, then it's going to be really hard to make a good decision or a good long-term decision, right? When we're flustered and we're emotional, it's really easy to make just kind of very short-term decisions that feel good in the moment. And this is not so great when we're thinking about really long-term things. And so because this is a long-term thing, journaling about this situation really helped me level up from it and decide, you know what, I do have stage fright. And so now it's just about getting over that stage fright and putting myself in situations that make me uncomfortable. Those are the two situations where journaling is going to have an asymmetric return on investment. Whether you journal every single day, or you're new to journaling, or you kind of know it's important, but you don't really make the time for it. The trick that helped me was kind of having a super good reason to journal and then just seeing what happened after I did it. And ever since I started to realize just how beneficial it is for me, I've been journaling much more often. And so if you like the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you kind of disagreed with anything I said, go ahead and leave a comment. I'm very interested in everything that you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.